artistic heritage of Bhutan is one of the jewels of the country. Bhutan has continued to produce exquisite traditional art for as long as we can remember. Zorig Chusum is the 13 traditional arts and crafts that define the Bhutanese life. Art has always remained an essential part of the daily life of the Bhutanese, as it is a part of its cultural heritage that has been practiced and passed down for generations. Blacksmithing in Bhutan began sometime in the late 14th century. It is believed that it was introduced by Duptop Thangtong Gyalpo, a Tibetan saint revered by the Bhutanese people as a master engineer for his skill in casting iron chains and erecting them as bridges over gorges. Bhutan was known to have iron ore in Paro and in the east, prompting the great Thangtong Gyalpo to come to Bhutan for iron. He is supposed to have built 8 suspension bridges in Bhutan. You can still see one of the bridges crossing over the Parochu on the road to Paro Thimphu Highway, linking the highway to the famous Takchol Hagam. The remains of another bridge can be viewed at the National Museum in Paro. The art of ironwork is locally known as Chakzo. For many years, Wochu village under Paro Zongkak has been known to produce the finest and costliest metal products. The elders in Nuni Gewak said that in the past, Wochu was not only well known as a village of blacksmiths but also wooden cup makers. Until a few years ago, the Gewak, which was once famous for its blacksmithing works, was left with only 3 elder blacksmiths. It was not long before some of the blacksmiths in Wochu quit their profession and pursued farming and other activities. It was feared that the village's craft was on the verge of being history. Realizing this, His Majesty the King commanded for a training center to be set up to revive the dying art. The Royal Metal Craft Center was established in 2016 and had employed the 3 elderly blacksmiths to share their skills with their apprentices. Unfortunately, one of the elderly blacksmiths retired because of his age. While blacksmithing is almost a dying art, you can still find a few people learning the craft of blacksmithing at the center. At present, the center has 15 trainees and 2 master blacksmiths. The work starts from 8:30 in the morning and goes on till 4 p.m. every day. Among the trainees is 34-year-old Setan Doji from Ha, who has been working at the Royal Metal Craft Center for more than 5 years. Within 5 years, Tsethen has learned the art of making knives along with other farming and household tools. Today, Tsethen is making a traditional knife called bakcham. The first step in making a knife is to identify the type of steel you want to work with.
담바들한테 라 같이로 랩버스 와친 같이 짜들로 라 레스 슈돌라 대짜 배워친 대 카도다 겐차세 대 카르본 스틸 마이드 스틸 짜 컴퍼니 둘라 대 같이나 배워친 기디 마쇼 치마 치쇼치라 대 카르본 스틸 짜 카도디기 조도 세슈니라 대 디에 가차마세 와친 카르본 스틸디 대 같이나기 기수가라 라 배우달루 아치치 탑데 토토다 대 냥카 아치치 Libretendige be carbon steel ki sodo se shunila kado dige te maso ma cheshuchi ani carbon steel di garigi spring dom mabala yani bewletendige be nachi garigi spring sodo se shunila da gidun thangi te rimba bewachilla chanib dila cha khado dangen chadi te gadi dunina damkha chap sashilemla tambara spring di kagola le spring di ka shilem tele gigi 체시다 치지기베 대가치기 미나 수 실림이데 기기 체시다 치지기베 dundo 세션이라.
The first process is called forging, where the initial shaping of a knife is done. While heating the iron, it is important to check the temperature. After the metal has been heated, Tsethen pounds the chunk of metal according to the size and shape of the desired knife. While forging, a helper is required since it is tiresome to do it alone. The next step is grinding. In olden days, this process was done manually, but now, due to mechanized equipment, a hand grinder is used. It makes the work much easier. After forging, grinding is necessary since the process reduces the thickness of the iron and gives shape to the knife. After the metal has been grinded, the next step is sanding, where the final shape and thickness of the knife is made. This is the process where the metal is straightened and polished. The fourth step is handling, where the handle has to be inserted before hardening the metal. If the metal is hardened before handling, there are chances that the metal will lose its shape and thickness. Once the desired thickness and shape is acquired, then the handle is inserted.
Tele danga banalu hibigaledi danga chigi ngalu nigi mela hardening coinching sela. Upadi daptha shilem dela ngadilu bi se shudola. Te ngadilu bi kablo te ngadi ta dambara te chadi sogo se shunila. Chadi tsugi kablo ya cha tothang ya yu se shudola. Ta chadi gara be so wachin te ngadi lunigi denu achi la khaila. Te ani be oletendi chadi ngalu bi kablo ya khada digibe chane be sogo se shunila. Ditso sa shilem dela nale te ngachi chuna tsube dela ngadi ani be ludo se shunila. The chuna tube lubigi capsule da mitugi taudo chibe wachin abu chigi the sip do chibe wachin the jamto to be jedo la the indra best chiru ani di lubigi caplu nam sam yanka da 아니 이세 슈돌라 냥카 이세 감마세 와치 담바도 아니 ngalubi kablo ngache dento to majo wachi nga draso wachi chak juigi 냥카 yuila te nga nyungso wachin te di shinga te laga chira berinam samichi le jumbe la le thamitulla ani beule tendigi da chomitsodi te ngabagi ngaluni di nami sami ke cheto to da kha cheto to chibe ngachigi toki kablo bewachin te ngachi gizowi kablo bewachin ngaluni da te ngaluni di nami sami kha cheto to be tuwi se shunila.
After the quenching and hardening process, the sanding process is done again. This is because during the hardening process, the metal loses its original color and thickness. The next process is called buffing. This process is designed to give a uniform, smooth and polished look. In olden days, smoke, sand and wormwood were used, but now due to advanced equipment, a buffing machine is used as it is much easier and saves time. It also helps in maintaining the thickness and sharpness of the knife. After the buffing process has been completed, next is shaping of the handle. First, the handle has to be carved and then the handle ring is inserted. For the handle, maple wood is mostly used. Although pine wood can be used for the casing, fig wood is used as pine wood easily gets rusted.
디기 슈티네 배우다우치 배워친들레 같이 대다 코쳔셀라 고잡니기라 내가 저라 두개 갑자기 최den기가 갑자기 벤디기 때 아치치 고나 같이 두개 합날레도 토미스벨라 디벨로 텐디 같이 마쳐시지 고우디 마 자갈레 텐돌라 자갈레 텐디기 베테 테고 안에 베템도 스슈니라 테고 템비기 갑레 템탕이 아니디 담바라 고우디 파타데 파타슈쿠기 체시디 고우고 잡 텔레코우디 또 tele anal ko di pa gamlu shukugu cha tele anal betane betem do seshuni la ko di.
After the leather works has been done, a two-sided whetstone is used. While one side is used to sharpen the knife, The other side is for polishing. The final step is sanding. This is done to avoid rusting to the knife. Thethin is very pleased with his final product. He explains that all the trainees are required to produce as per the daily target set by the office. The elders of Wochu believe that many years ago, Tangtong Gyalpo had visited their village and started working in a cave nearby. The Tibetan saint prophesies that the people of the village would be expert blacksmiths. He is believed to have taught his trade to the villagers. The cave, known as Go Jangkai Lebi Dungso, still stands to this day. Senchu Satup, who is 78 years old, took up the art of blacksmithing out of his own interest after settling down in Wochu.
공기 자로비 토레 샵 세모레 샵 저 공기가 라스레 아트르비 저 먹고 둘라 저 먹고 옆에 저라 점별레도 저 공기 라로 저 먹고 두저 공도 저 배우터벨라 저 적지보다 때는 저기 나기 정칼로 배우면 되네 공도 저 배워진 다 리쿠시에 꾸르시 마셔르 마셔 저 디타베 노티베 저 공도 저 남수를 쪼아찍기 왜 매일아 sabtibola kombremle ngai besula te besula ten dilang te namsumil to lenjila.
Back then, almost all the men from the households from the community practiced blacksmithery, but until a few years ago, no one was willing to take the craft as a profession, not even the family members.
Te chinga lo tuktu tamamo chikale te kai nyamsila te nyamsunda te baby te bemi kai mi dile ko ni do ngaramela ya chap ma chap chino te nga cha sumu te te 이걸 냠니 별로라 제가 지 레귤 냠니가 자조 길라리 와 제가 대 벌써 뭐 자 알룬가이 스쿨다 리노 쪼직티베 베미 메뉴 장가 자 게르쇼 난 잘로나 눈치 첼시 제남심 쪼치미시 건데 메뉴 노리 노서동 내 집에 접다 제 수남 비기 도로 비기 만들었으면 잘라 제 명가서 좀 치기 제 투치어서 nembagal mazbobe tanga tigi yonol kendigi te chazo nyamni bede te chasum logisum kanoi chagi ole altuge mare te chasum tolap chop jakes dile nga chasum do karma ing ngachi tatu gupendi khoi tanga boshal tanga janam sumigi te nembe dile kogi tanga ji pamdum jibe 파도 출래 때 지금 뒤 짐로 때장같이 레기지 장같이 숨도 때 고차지게 장내 구축지라.
Over the years, he has produced many metal products and has lost count of the products he has made so far.
때 잘못발로 다리 알루지수 요 맞췄어. 요 맞춰 범 거에 뭐빠 인터뷰 거기 인제 여와진 요 점점도이 안노르 귀법이서 미 자섭지 길라디 배워진 귀살미 보 더분 같이 까비도 너 다리 보다 남심 남락티야스 다 달을 감마서 하신 자 알루스기 매수받진 자장 권하기 배워진 제갑 여제주 자차 강고로 제갑 남모지 제갑도 출남미시랑 같이 중도 제 검수 넘친 수남미 심의 자착한 거 더해라. 톱지 뭐처럼 저 달로 강일 믿는 거 내가 같이 갑로 며칠 강일 유일라 천년 믿어 짜베는 게 치고지 천년 락을 정부 달라 잡도 돌고 다고 내가 남면서 저 달마바 봐진 남 숨이 딱 뒤또 가톡도 없네 그 라이브 코너 라마 타고 뒤고 꺼내면 아주 좋아요 봐진 비슈슈 유연으로 혼자 남자 운티 베리 나 레옹 비 가고비 베니 떨어베 버치 떡터비 마시나루 자투 로나기 제콘 점디스 나 점디스기 이걸 합치 봐진 딱 뒤떡도 유라 맞뚝도 맞죠 간데미라 tab dilini chi jungi kanem chi no salo tab dilini chi salo te rong rong la bi samaso chin te rong ro choe shunila.
One concern for the blacksmiths is the growing competition from products that are bought in from Indian border towns and sold at a cheaper rate. The products from India come at almost half the price of those made at home. The cost of the products made in Wochu ranges from Ngiltram 350 to Ngiltram 4000 depending on the metal and make. It usually takes a few days to about a month to cast a knife. In a simple sword locally known as patang, one can find many different types of crafts like Trezo, Temzo, Shingzo, and Chakzo. The blacksmiths believe that one of the main reasons why people are hesitant to take up the craft is because of social discrimination, and the other reason could be because of the working environment.
Tani gazonalu the najin tsugi to makemidi da damba shuda uchi bewachin the ladi besa ladi la dubigi lachi me bala the ladi khikut nim tabu namu khikutem begomi ke lachi tele la besa gi sani di bewachin khamno sisichi te ladi atichi hisa sabe benigi lachi me bala te ani bewlete ni gi be chi di ani gi mena sewi dokpai shudo la ngara lela.
This art might slowly disappear in the years to come if it is not preserved. Today, there are only a few Bhutanese who practice this art.
제가 우측이 이거 지나로 제 자서도 만년바 아니면 저 수습지 제가 짓바도 안 하지 제 기와 zon도 너무 없는